Honorable students, good morning. This class is for the students of inter math. The medium is English. This class is for the board exam, and after completion of board exam, special classes will be arranged in which we will discuss critical problems for the competitive exams like IIT, JEE, Main Advanced, NDA and others. In this video, I will discuss rules of differentiation. I have also discussed it in previous video. Let us see. Product of DC of DC of the product of two functions DC of the product of two functions. How we obtain differential coefficient of the product of two functions? Let us see. Let ux and vx be two functions. Be two functions. We have to find DC of ux into vx. How we obtain? Let y is equal to ux into vx. Then dy by dx is equal to dux by dx into vx plus ux into vx by dx. How to obtain it? DC of first function into second function plus first function into DC of second function. That is dy by dx is equal to du by dx into v plus u into dv by dx. That is, I write it here. That is dy by dx is equal to DC of first function, DC of first function into second function, plus first function plus first function into DC of second function. DC of second function. Second function. How to obtain? We obtain DC of first function and then multiply it by second function plus first function into DC of second function. In this way, we obtain the differential coefficient of the product of two functions. You write it in your notebook. In short, if y is equal to u into v, where u and v are functions of x, then dy by dx is equal to du by dx into v plus u into dv by dx. I give an example also. Y is equal to ex into sin x. Example, y equal to ex into sin x. How we obtain? Dy by dx is equal to dex by dx into sin x plus ex into d sin x by dx. Here we use DC of standard functions whose list I have discussed in previous video. I have given a list of DC of some standard functions. Those will be used here. Those will be used here. This is equal to ex into sin x plus ex into cos x. We know DC of ex is dx. We know DC of sin x is equal to cos x. You note it in your notebook. Similarly, y equal to u y equal to u into v into w into so on, where u, v, w and so on are all functions of x. How we obtain the DC of the product of more than two functions? Here we obtain DC of one function and multiply it by rest, plus DC of second function and multiply rest functions by it, plus DC of third person and multiply the rest functions by it. In this way, we obtain the DC and add them, and we obtain the DC of the product of more than two functions. Here, let us see. dy by dx is equal to du by dx into v into w into so on plus u dv by dx into w into so on plus u into v into dw by dx into so on plus so on. Here we obtain dc of first and we will multiply the second or rest functions by it plus dc of second function and we will multiply the rest uw functions by it plus dc of third function and you will multiply the rest uv and so on and others plus in this way we obtain dc, multiply and add them and we obtain the dc of the product of more than two functions. And also give an example by taking product of three functions. Let us see. Example, y is equal to x to the power 6 ex sin x. Here what we obtain? dc dy by dx is equal to d x to the power 6 by dx into ex into sin x plus x to the power 6 into d ex by dx into sin x d ex by dx into sin x plus I write it here plus x to the power 6 into ex into d sin x by dx. I have written next step here, see, and this is equal to, see here, total 6 x to the power 6 minus 1 into ex into sin x plus x6 ex sin x here x to the power 6 will be 6 into x to the power 6 minus 1, 6x 5. This is in expanded form, so that you follow it easily. I am saying this and so that you follow it easily, but in solving the problem, you directly write 6x to the power 5. I describe it in expanded form so that you follow it easily. Here dx to the power 6 by dx is equal to 6 into x to the power 6 minus 1, 6x to the power 5. But in solving problems, we have to write directly 6 x to the power 5 ex sin x plus, write it here, x6 ex sin x plus this step, here, see, x to the power 6 ex cos x. In this way, you obtain differential coefficient of the product of more than two functions. Here I have taken an example, product of three functions, x to the power 6, ex and sin x. And in this way we obtain differential coefficient of the product of more than two functions. Here I have taken three functions. In the example, we obtain DC of one function and write the rest as product and multiply the rest functions, plus again we obtain DC of second function and multiply rest by this, again plus we obtain DC of third function and write rest, and this way we move further according to the number of the functions, and in this way we obtain the differential coefficient of the product of more than two functions. You write it in your notebook. Now this is of the product of a constant term and a function. How we obtain differential coefficient of the product of a constant and a function? Let us see. Let C be a constant term and Ux be a function. We have to find DC of Cux. Let y equal to Cux. Then dy by dx is equal to C into dux by dx. That is dy by dx is equal to constant term into dc of the function constant term into dc of the function. In short, if y equal to cu, where u is function of x, then dy by dx equal to c du by dx. I give an example also. Example, y is equal to 4 sec x. Then dy by dx equal to into d sec x by dx is equal to 4 sec x into tan x. As we know from the list of DC of standard formula, standard functions, d sec x by dx, DC of x is equal to sec x into tan x. So here dy by dx is equal to 4 sec x into tan x. You note it in your notebook. Now we obtain the differential coefficient of the quotient of two functions, division of two functions. DC of the quotient DC of the quotient of two functions, DC of the quotient of two functions let ux and vx be two functions, we have to find find DC of ux by vx, where vx should not be 0. Vx should not be 0. Now let y is equal to ux by vx. Then dy by dx is equal to dux by dx into vx minus ux into vx by dx by vx whole square, that is DC of quotient of two functions equal to DC of numerator, see here, into denominator minus numerator into DC of denominator by denominator का whole square of denominator, that is dy by dx equal to DC of numerator into denominator minus numerator into DC of denominator by denominator whole square of square of denominator. So DC of the quotient of two functions equal to DC of numerator into denominator minus numerator into DC of denominator by whole square of denominator. In this way we obtain the DC of the quotient of two functions. Write it in a notebook. In short, y is equal to u by v, then dy by dx equal to du by dx into v minus u into dv by dx by v whole square. I also give an example. Let example y is equal to x square by sin x, or I write it here totally. So example y is equal to x square by sin x. So dy by dx is equal to dx square by dx into sin x minus x square into d sin x by dx by sin x whole square. To understand it easily, dy by dx is equal to dy by dx is equal to dx square dc of x square by dx into sin x minus x square into d sin x by dx by sin x whole square of sin x, and this is equal to dy by dx is equal to what will 2x. From the dc of standard functions we know sin x minus x square dc of sin x is cos x by, as we know from the list of dc of standard functions, 2x sin x minus x square cos x, dc of sin is cos x by sin square x. In this way we obtain the dc of quotient of two functions. In next video I will discuss important problems. You note it in your notebook. You note it in your notebook. In next video I will discuss important problems. Please like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel, Mathematics Vibes. I Satish Kumar Thakur, lecturer in math, Raja Ram Shah College, Raxaur, Bihar, India. Have a nice day. Thank you.